Greetings, everybody. I have in front of me a very, very special place, a special person from a very special place. And his name is Paul. And of course, with his accent, he's going to give it away. So let me tell you, he's from the England himself. And I absolutely love and adore the accent of the British people. So I'm going to be just sit back, Paul, and I'm going to just take it in everything you're going to say. All right. So Paul, why don't you introduce to us who you are and what do you do so we'll know and get to know you more?
Well, first, Ilona, thank you for your kind words, and I hope my accent lives up to expectation. It is an absolute privilege to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
That's awesome.
Sure. To tell you a bit about myself, my name is Paul Gilbert. My author name, though, is P.E. Gilbert. I am from, as Ilona has said, I'm from the UK. I'm from London in particular. I lived there for 30 years. I went to Birmingham University and studied history. And then I spent more than 10 years at my desk writing fantasy books. And last year, I self-published my first fantasy book, The Sultan's Daughter, which is a fantasy novella. And on the 26th of this month, I'll be releasing its sequel, The Kingdom's Protector. And I'm really, really excited about it.
You know, when I saw the cover of your books, I'm like, I want to know what's it all about. So I'm like, okay, let me find the author. Let me see what he's about. And, you know, here you are sitting in front of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, it cannot get any better. So Paul, tell us about, you know, what, like very briefly, what each book is all about. So the people out there will be able to gravitate, know, and go and get that for themselves.
Well, thank you, and I hope they do gravitate towards it and go and purchase it, obviously. The book is very simple. It's called The Sultan's Daughter, and it is about, believe it or not, the Sultan's daughter, Princess Nalini. It's based in an Arabian-style kingdom in a fictional world. Picture basically Egypt in 1492 on the Nile, and you have a very good idea about where it is. Oh, and for good measure, think of Aladdin as well, and that kind of world. So at the start of the story, the Sultan tells his daughter, Princess Nalini, that it all rests on her. If she does not hold this kingdom together, it's going to fall apart, and there is an army of frightening fanatics on the way. Now, Princess Nalini has never been trained for rule or war, so she has to adapt quickly, or else everything she knows is going to be destroyed. And to make matters a bit harder, her enemies have more resources than she does. So what is she going to do? And that essentially is the story for the first book. And the second one continues on from that very nicely, in my opinion, except in this time around, she faces an existential crisis in the form of, imagine again, the Nile River, the one source of water for Egypt pretty much. And imagine it's drying up or bloody. Now, I think we can all think of an example in history when the Nile has turned bloody. Think of the story of Exodus, which is a massive inspiration for me, particularly as I'm Jewish and I read the story of Exodus at Passover, or Pesach as we call it, every April roughly. And literally, if you were a ruler of Egypt and the Nile either turns bloody or dries up, what will you do? I mean, literally, what can you do? And even, you know, one of the things that I've really tried to incorporate in the second book is that even if, let's say, a ruler makes a decision, that's all well and good. But what happens if another lord, another individual, a very powerful person says, that's great, you make that decision, but we're going to do something else? What would you do if those under you say, no, I don't agree with you. We're going to go down this route. And if you don't, well, there's going to be serious consequences as well. And to make matters even harder, the threat of fanaticism, as I mentioned before, hasn't gone away. So she's dealing with multiple issues. And I think it's a really exciting, tense story. As I put it very often, short, fast-paced, and full of suspense. That's the way I want it to be. And I think I've achieved it.
My goodness, as you were sharing, you pretty much educated us or like gave us a little bit of seed to fall in love with the history. And I love the history. When I was little, your story a little bit reminds me of 1001 Night, by Shahrizada. And, we were like fascinating about reading about the story of her. So every night she would read and tell the story to her husband, who was about to pretty much, he kills every single wife of his. So with her story, he wanted to, go and hear more until he dies. And that's why, she saved everybody. So, and that's what I love stories like this, what you just said. It's not just, nice picture. It's also you helping us to pretty much be fascinated with the history. And, you said about, departing of the Red Sea, and of course, the Exodus as well. So as being a Jew, on the Passover, on the Pesach, where we tell the story. And I do it a lot every year, pretty much. So I tell the story of the Pesach, of the Passover, and to the Jewish point of view, and also connected with the Christian point of view, the eyes. So it's very fascinating. So I absolutely love that you pretty much putting it out there. So tell me, who is this book for? Who can read it?
Well, first, again, thank you, Ilona, for all your lovely words. That is, with my books, that is exactly what I want to do. I'd love to make you more interested in the history of the region and history in general, because it is how the world has come to be the way it is. And I think it's wonderful, again, that you not only give the Jewish perspective of the story of Exodus, but the Christian one as well. And I think knowing you give a few more perspectives as well. So I want to say that first and foremost. Second, as for who the book is for, I would always say that in the beginning, my target was for women, particularly 18 plus women, but people who love fantasy. So those two, women and fantasy readers. And I would say one other thing, and that is this book is more about political machinations. It's more about what's going on behind the scenes rather than a Mary Sue superhero who comes in, saves the day, and everyone's happy. No, that is not what this story is about. I've tried to ground it as much in history as possible. This is about competing interests. This is about raw ambition in its medieval primal sense. And again, if that makes people want to read more about what happened in the past and where I've gained my inspirations from, then I'd like to think I've done something of my job as well. But, more than anything, you enjoy it. You've read a good story, one that you've enjoyed, one that leaves you thinking about, what would you have done in a similar situation? And then if you do read the histories, you kind of understand why we are the way we are. And that is what I want more than anything. But in answer to your question, who's the target audience, essentially, I would say to you, women 18 plus, and people who love fantasy 18 plus as well. It is, while it is lacking in mature content, it is more for a mature kind of audience.
That's awesome. I am 18 plus, so I can definitely read that book.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that, Ilona. Thank you.
I'm so excited. So, Paul, you have, you really put together very lovely, and I can tell that you have a background education. You went through the special university to study that, and you bring your knowledge, your smart, and your ambition, your passion into this book. And I can see that how passionate you are about the book. You're not just telling about that, you really live through that, and you want us to really love that. So tell us what's next for you. Any projects, any ideas that we need to know about, or you want us to kind of be waiting?
Well, for the moment, as I say, this is coming out on the 26th of August, which at the time of recording this, that's a little over a week away. So immediately, that is my concerns. After this, I'm going to take a little bit of a break from writing. The next book I write will not be part of this duology. This story is finished. You'll understand why when you get to the end of the second book, why I say that. And I do have many more stories. This is, I've got one or two ideas, but I really need to formulate it. I'm not even in the pre-planning stages yet. I've really got just raw ideas. How do I put it together? I'll need to create another world for it that's equally as believable to the one I've created here from the map you can see behind me. So that will be over the next 6 to 12 months, I think, to give myself that time to rest, my creative mind to restart again. And in time, I will definitely write another fantasy book. And equally, one day, I've got to do it. I've been writing a series for 10 plus years. One day that's going to have to come out. I've poured my heart and soul and a lot of my knowledge into it for more years than I would like to say. And I always think about it. So one day that will come out, but I don't know yet when that will be, sadly. But when I do, have no worries, Ilona. I will definitely be telling you about it.
And don't answer this question, but is she's dying at on the second book? Don't tell me that. I hope not. But this is the one of the things that, when women are reading the book, and I know you're targeting us, you probably are going to make us cry one way or another. I know that we're very emotional. We want everybody to be happy. We're connecting, to our heroine every time we read a book. So I hope nobody is dying. So, and if somebody is in a book, next time you write something, please don't kill anybody.
I can't make any promises or guarantees for you on that one, Ilona. And I wouldn't dare say that all women feel the same way either, and that whether or not they're emotional, they cry about certain scenes or not. I can't possibly pass judgment on that. What I want to achieve with my writing more than anything is that you see things, you see life and events through my protagonist, Nalini's perspective. You see only what's in front of her as and when it happens. I want you to feel her emotions as it happens. And she's under a lot of pressure, under a lot of stress in the first book and the second one, even more so. And I hope you feel that crunch, that pressure, weighing down on her, pressing her temples. That is what I want more than anything. When you read this book, and then once again, you'll understand the decisions that she makes. Whether you agree with her decisions, that's up to you. But what I want more than anything is for you to empathize with her situation and to say at the end of it, whether you agree or not, yeah, I understand why she made those decisions. And put it this way, I would love to hear yours and everyone else's thoughts at the end of it. If you agreed with her, disagreed with her, and why? And more importantly, if you were in her shoes, would you make the same decisions?
That is so fascinating. I'm already going to go get some tissue papers, load myself up. And, when I read, I will be able to, just live the life through her while I'm reading. So, Paul, there's somebody out there maybe struggling, maybe to make some kind of decisions, or they're struggling to make a day, they don't have a passion, or if they have a dream and they wanted to get it out, just like with you writing it for over 10 years, you're going to produce something. What would you tell somebody who is putting behind their dream and procrastinating with the dreams? What would you tell them right now?
Ilona, you've asked me one of the most challenging questions imaginable. So, what would I say? I'm unlike you. I'm not a TEDx speaker. I wouldn't dare to call myself an inspirational, motivational speaker. So bear that in mind before I give my answer. I love this question. I've got to be honest, first and foremost. What I would say to someone, I'll answer the question predominantly of they have a dream, but they're procrastinating. I think I can answer that one for you a lot better than if you don't have a dream, what do you want to do? That's a very different kind of question. So in answer to your question, someone who's procrastinating, I would say what Gandalf says in Lord of the Rings, in the Fellowship of the Ring, in the caves of the mines of Moria. Sorry, fantasy lovers, it's not a cave, it's a mine. So sorry. And that is, all you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you. I was 14 when The Lord of the Rings hit cinemas back in 2001. And I remember that quote said quite extraordinarily brilliantly by Sir Ian McKellen, who says it far better than I ever could, quite honestly. And I just remember thinking, yes. And it's such a moving quote, in my opinion, because it really made me think, what do you want to do? What are you waiting for? Go for it. Yes, it's not going to be like you're going to snap your fingers and your dream's going to come true. I appreciated that, and I realized that very quickly. And that's the point then after that. That's where determination, the resilience that you speak of so much, Ilona, comes into it. You're going to get knocked. You're going to take a lot of punches. You're going to be, at times, you're going to have the knockout blow. But that's the point. And this is where my other quote that I love comes in. It comes from Thomas Wayne from Batman Begins, which I saw when I was 18 in the cinema and have loved this film ever since. I've watched it more times than I would like to say. And it is, why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up. And those two quotes, I wouldn't say I live by them. That's going a bit too far. but it very much underpins my mindset. You know, when you fail, and, you know, I haven't succeeded with everything I've done yet, you know, my mindset, generally speaking, is, all right, so you didn't succeed, or rephrase that. Okay, sorry, so you failed. Now go and fail again. And sometimes it has been difficult. It's not like I'm always immediately able to pick myself up. Sometimes it can take, you know, hours. Sometimes it can take days, weeks, and occasionally months. But I don't know what it is about me. And if I can do it, then certainly anybody else can. You know, all right, so you have fallen. Come on, come on, come on. Let's get up again. You can run once more. And all right, yeah, you'll trip again. No problem. Let's go again once more. And I'd like to think that with every fall, you do get a little bit stronger, a little bit more savvy. And slowly but surely, you'll find yourself able to get to the finish line. And even if you don't get to the finish line, which I think is the most important part here, it's, you know, it may disappoint you don't make it to the finish line. Fair enough. But you will make so much more of yourself. You will be an inspiration to so many others who see you putting in that hard work, your dedication. You will change as a result. In short, you're going on a journey, like in a story, and you change. And that change, it molds you. And last but not least, I'd like to give a quote by Patrick Rothfuss, who's one of the most amazing fantasy authors, who were all waiting for his third book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. I'm no different. I've been waiting now for a very long time. But one of the questions that is said to the main character, Kvothe, is to questions that don't have an answer. You go on a journey. The journey is your answer. And that is the most important part, I think, for a lot of people, because I think we all, at some level, have a question that doesn't have a straightforward answer. It's not quite the same thing as me saying, asking the question, how many wives did Henry VIII have? And you go 6. I mean, that's great. Good on Henry VIII, quite honestly, if you ask me. But, you know, that's a fact. Big deal. William the Conqueror won the Battle of Hastings in October 1066. I mean, great. Doesn't really change people's lives, though. But when you understand that the question you've got for yourself doesn't have an answer, your response to it is the answer. What you do next will determine so much about you and your character. And once again, I've tried to live my life by responding to those sorts of questions and that kind of beating by, okay, get up, fail again. And it's taught me a lot. It's made me appreciate the good times even better. It's made me more empathetic writing. But above all, this has been my answer. And I would say, find what it is that you want then. What is it you want? Look inside yourself, close your eyes, look in the mirror. At heart, I think a lot of people do know what it is that they actually want. I really do believe that at some level, they do know whether it's attainable. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't we all like to be Leo Messi on a football field or Cristiano Ronaldo and, you know, ripping up the turf and every opponent they've ever come across, winning Champions Leagues and, you know, and honors for their countries? That may not be possible for everybody. But equally, if you dedicate yourself to what you want, to your craft, your passion, you will go far in your own way. And above all, you'll live a much more fulfilling life than you would have done by not doing it. Let's put it nicely there. So that would be what I would tell someone who is procrastinating. You know, I repeat it again, you know, the core tenets to what I'm saying, and that is all you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you. Why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up, and the journey will determine who you are. That will be your answer.
Thank you, Paul, so much for giving us.
I hope that satisfies. I hope that answers the question. I don't know.
I think I'm going to zoom you out so everybody can see you while you are speaking and giving the answer, so they will be able to gravitate and get it. You know, you're very terrific. You know, the person and the speaker as well, and you know how to answer the questions. And I like that you're aware and very knowledgeable about some quotes that you read a lot. I can tell it in the way that you carry yourself, the way that you answer it. And I love that you're very educated. So and what you saying, that you said that the journey is the answer. So no matter what we are doing, that we have to keep up going, and that's where we'll find the answers to ourselves and to into our lives. So thank you so much, Paul, for being with us. We wish you all the best with your book, with the launching of the book, and we are such your supporters. If you need anything, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to support you with that. So August 26th, guys, watch out, go into the Amazon and grab the book. You're really gonna love it. I already fell in love with the second part while you were talking about it. So I'm sure that other audience are doing the same thing too. So we have been honored and privileged having you on my show, sharing your story, sharing your path, and also equipping and encouraging somebody else out there, Paul. So thank you.
Ilona, it's me who must thank you. First for your kind words, again, the opportunity and promoting me and what I have done so far. Honestly, you are a star. You're brilliant. Thank you.
God bless you, Paul. Thank you. It's our privilege to have you here. So, guys, do not, don't go anywhere. Please watch this. Follow Paul and get his book right away. We want to make sure that we showcase the brilliancy of our guests who are coming to our show. Until then, please stay happy, healthy, and blessed. It was Ilona from IP Resilience. See you next time.